So I was recently at a conference for the company ClickFunnels, which was actually called Funnel Hacking Live in Nashville, Tennessee, about a week ago. And I want to share with you one of the most important takeaways of the weekend. There were some incredible speakers there. I'll talk about those in a minute. But before I jump into that, just to provide some context, for those of you who don't know, ClickFunnels is a drag and drop website development software, which is really created with the intention of ensuring that the person that is purchasing something on your website is streamlined in terms of them taking the next rational step, as opposed to a typical website, which allows you to kind of meander around, click around, and kind of create your own destiny. With a funnel, you're actually directed to the next rational step. Now, in short, ClickFunnels is a software company, but they aren't just any software company. They are the fastest growing non-VC funded company in the world. They have more than 100,000 paid members. And if they were to sell their company, they'd probably get close to $1 billion. And again, keep in mind, they did not take on VC funds. So one of the most incredible financial outcomes you can hope for as an entrepreneur. But ClickFunnels and this conference, they do not feel like a typical software company. If WordPress, for example, threw an annual conference, it wouldn't be anything like this. And there's a lot of reasons for this. Probably most importantly, they have the attractive character, Russell Brunson, who is in front of social media. He's on the news, he's writing the books, and he's attracted a real cult-like following, and for good reason. His books, Expert Secrets and .com Secrets, are jam-packed with content. A very, very influential person in terms of my writing style when I wrote Raising Capital for Real Estate, which, by the way, is sold on a ClickFunnels platform. Getting to the point, there were some incredible speakers there. Tom Bilyeu was there. He's the guy that co-founded Quest Bars, which was then sold for $1 billion. Tony Robbins was there. A bunch of people you probably haven't heard of, but are pretty remarkable in terms of their accomplishments. The weekend was awesome, and there was a lot of great takeaways, but one in particular that I wanted to discuss with you. Most importantly, the significance and importance of storytelling and ability to tie in your own personal stories into your perspective, and why this is such a powerful tool and why it helps encourage all the things you want to encourage for the people around you, for potential clients, for your friends even. So what Russell really talked about a lot, and what a lot of people did in the conference, was they have unlimited short stories that have taught them meaningful lessons, and how you should also pull in your personal experiences and put them in a framework so that you can tell stories in a way that makes it compelling. There's a lot of reasons for this, but probably most importantly, when you tell people stories, they're more inclined to listen, and therefore they're more inclined to remember. So you can actually impact their life. I'll give you an example very briefly. You've heard the story before. I started investing in the stock market in 2008, dedicated a lot of time toward it, but really struggled when I realized that the European debt crisis of 2010 caused incredible volatility in the US markets. I started studying real estate, was quickly introduced to some very influential, very successful real estate entrepreneurs who also invested in syndications, modeled my career, modeled my investment thesis after their strategies, and then kind of took off like a rocket ship. We went from 5 investors to 10 to 100 to 300, and we've purchased, more than $90 million worth of commercial real estate. Now, you've heard me tell that story before. If you've read my book, you've heard me tell it in a lot of detail. The point is not that story, at least not for this particular episode. The point is the structure and the framework in which that story is told, and understanding that framework so that you can think about your own personal stories in your life and put them within that framework. So I'm going to talk you through the 6 stages of that story. It's an abbreviated version of the 10 or 12 stages of a hero's journey. So it's a similar kind of concept. But here are the stages. So number 1, where you were before the journey started. The place you were at before you went on this remarkable journey. Number 2, you uncover data that allows you to think that the way you were doing things before is not correct, but for whatever reason, you don't act. You see that something's off about your original perspective, but you avoid taking action. You're averse to it for some reason. Number 3, you meet a guide. You uncover a playbook. You uncover a rule set that would allow you to take advantage of this newly uncovered data. Number 4, you get started, but you hit a major roadblock. It's a wall that almost prevents you entirely from being able to go forward. This is a point where you almost fold, you almost quit. But number 5, you don't quit, you keep going, and you succeed, and the result you originally looked for is achieved. But number 6, you realize that not only is the result that you went out to achieve achieved and realized, but it also allowed you to do X, X, and X. And most importantly, in number 6, it allows you to impact other people's lives and how you actually serve other individuals and how you actually serve your client base. That is the framework. That is a very short version of how to create a compelling storyline. Now, pretty much all great stories have this structure or something similar to this. If you want to search, you can do a search for the 12 stages of a hero's journey. That is a little bit different. This is a little bit abbreviated because we don't want to do an entire 55-hour audiobook on the Odyssey. But the point is, you probably have so many stories that you haven't really taken the time to put into a similar framework so that you can optimize how to communicate meaningful concepts. So I really suggest you do this. So if you have time, take 30 minutes to write down a stream of conscious, incredible stories, incredible accomplishments, incredible moments that you thought you were going to quit, things that were counterintuitive, things that really took some personality, things that really took some perseverance, things that really shaped your personality. Just stream of consciousness, write a list of all that stuff. And then after you're done with that 30 minutes, go back and input those moments into that framework. I think Joe Fairless mentioned it in his book. Every time you set out to achieve anything, 50% of the goal should be to achieve that thing. And then 50% of the goal should be to learn something from the journey. Now, if all you get is the success of the actual achievement, then you fall in 50% short. So this is very similar to this. The further you go into this, you'll start to uncover things about your own personal experience. You'll start to uncover things about your own personality that'll be very compelling. And more importantly, when you explain this stuff to your potential clients, to your potential investors, it builds an actual level of rapport because stories, they've been around for thousands of years and for good reason. Human beings are very inclined to learn through storytelling. This is why all of the most popular religious texts, for example, are in stories. The oldest books in the world are focused on storytelling. So again, those are the 6 stages. Hope that helps you. The more you have in your Rolodex, the more of a compelling speaker you can be, the more of a compelling storyteller you can be, obviously, but more, perhaps more importantly, when you start to tune into this frequency, you start to look for the underlying themes of each significant moment in your life, you start to learn a lot about yourself. So being introspective like that can have some really significant implications. So hope that helps. Hope you enjoyed those 6 stages. All right, listeners, you know the routine. This show is all about learning, making wise investments, and protecting and growing your capital. So if you're interested in these topics, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Of course, if you've already enjoyed a couple of great episodes, don't be shy, leave a review. It really helps the show's visibility. And lastly, if you're an accredited investor and you're interested in learning more about our investment opportunities, the types of deals that I personally invest in, go to asymcapital.com. That's ASYMcapital.com. Thanks a lot.